This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is David Strumfels, and we're going to be talking about David's book entitled Wondering About. Now, Wondering About is a comprehensive guide that discusses man's everlasting struggle to learn what his place is in the universe and what the true purpose of his existence is all about. Now, by dealing with the many forms of science and humanity, this release also serves as an intellectual autobiography, an expedition through author David Strumfels' mind and his life as a human being. Through the author's views, readers will learn many relevant things, such as the development of civilization through the ages, how science helped mankind make many crucial discoveries about the universe, why people's curiosities and imagination never get satisfied, and much more. Two websites, X-Zone Nation, www.wanderingabout.net and a medley of potpourri.blogspot.com. Joining me now is David Strumfels. And David, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you.
David, how did you come about to write your book, Wondering About?
Well, actually, this is something that you didn't actually mention, is that I have a lifelong condition called Asperger's syndrome, and although it's something that is on the autism spectrum of disorders, with me, it seems to have taken the childlike curiosity and wondering and imagination and taken it all the way from my childhood, all the way even up to my adulthood. I'm now 53 years old. And I've spent basically most of my life studying many different sciences, chemistry, biology, cosmology. I could go on forever, actually. And a few years ago, I decided to just basically sort of write down these things I learned and have been wandering through, and it seemed like a good theme for a book, Wandering About. So there's a fair amount of science in it, but there is also a fair amount of personal reflection. There is also a certain amount of, why is it we are here and how did we come to be here and so forth. So it's somewhat philosophical as well.
David, you and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. Please stand by. X-Zone Nation, our very special guest this hour is David Strumfels. www.amedleyofpotpourri.blogspot.com. And you can also visit his website, wanderingabout.net. David and I will return on the other side of this commercial break as we continue the X-Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Exonation David Strumfels is my special guest this hour. He's the author of Wandering About, and his website's www.amedleyofpotpourri.blogspot.com and wanderingabout.net. David, what does Wandering About mean? Is it more than a book? Is it a way of looking at life?
Definitely more than a book. It's something that I'm trying to inspire in the reader himself, to spark his own sense of wonder and imagination and curiosity, and to, get involved in the world in a way that you want to understand it. And the way I have done this is through science. I don't say that that's the only way that can be done, but I hope that any reader of my book would be inspired to do something similar to what I have done.
David, can you give us an idea or give us a synopsis of your book, if you could?
Yeah, really, it's a medley. We talk about a medley of potpourri,
Yes,
and that's a very good description of it. It's the many places my mind has been due to my curiosity and desire to understand, from things from astronomy to chemistry to biology, geology, cosmology, and so forth.
Where does science play into the big picture of our existence?
Well, science is the best way we have of trying to answer questions. And it's not perfect, and it's not a way of answering big questions. I mean, science is more about answering the next question rather than the ultimate question. But step by step, I think we do get to ourselves to some ultimate questions about, what is our place in the universe? How did we come to be? And so forth. And science has not really addressed those things so far, but eventually I think it will. And which is one of the things that's so fascinating about it to me.
In the research that you've done, in the readings that you've done, in the wondering about that you've done, what is our purpose, or what do you believe our purpose is on this planet?
Well, I don't have an exact answer to that. The only answer I have is to say that, science has not discovered an answer to that question, but we should live our lives as though our lives have meaning and purpose. And some of the things I talk about, curiosity and wonder and imagination, should be part of those purposes. Other things like love are also part of those purposes. It's not a finished piece of work, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something that is an ongoing process. And I invite everyone to use their own mind to try to find out answers to questions that have stymied people for thousands of years.
You mentioned curiosity and imagination. People are naturally curious, but where does the crossover come between one's imagination and reality?
Well, the reason you need to use imagination is that sometimes our minds have evolved to perceive the world in a certain way, and it is a way that helps us to survive and to reproduce and to pass our genes on to next generations. But it's not necessarily a way designed to answer questions. So that is why I often say that you have to put aside your natural perceptions of things, which are somewhat deceiving, and use your imagination to try to really understand things like atoms and stars and how the universe has evolved and so forth, and how human beings have come to be.
tell me, as a person who has been wondering about, do we really need to know these answers? What will these answers give us?
Well, hopefully these answers will give us something really quite wondrous. That's what I have always believed, but it is a belief. Science doesn't promise anything in terms of what the final answers will be. So we take a bit of a chance when we use science to try to answer questions. We might not like the answers that we find, but my discovery is that we do like the answers that we find, and we are inspired to move on and find yet further answers. And like I say, it's an ongoing process.
Do you think that we're alone in the universe?
I seriously doubt that. It's one of those things you could argue to the end of the world,
Sure,
and not come up with a good explanation. But my suspicion is that we are not alone in the universe, and that there are other beings like us out there in galaxies billions of years away who are also wondering about these same things that we are wondering about. What the end process of all this will be, I have no idea. It could be something quite astonishing. We should keep our minds open as to what the possibilities may be.
David, I'm starting to get the feeling that wandering about is more of a philosophy.
It is more of a philosophy. It is more of me trying to inspire the reader to use his own mind to wonder about various different things. Although I do a lot of science in it, but science is part of it. And one of the things I want to convey is that a lot of people think that science is something that's beyond them. They can't understand it. It's for brilliant people and so forth. But what I'm trying to convey is that, no, this is not really true. If you're willing to use your imagination and see things in a different way, then you can understand things, understand the universe around you and within you in a way that you had never suspected before.
So, David, do you think that in order to better understand our surroundings, we have to break away from the conventional way that we've been taught to think and look at it from outside of the box instead of within the box?
To a certain degree, yes. I mean, we go through our lives and we mostly take all sorts of things that we experience for granted, and we really don't ask too many questions about it. But what I'm saying is that, we should get curious about it, and we should use our imaginations about it, and we will find that a whole new world opens up to us when we do these things.
If you were given the opportunity of helping the youth of today to better open up their minds and better open up their imaginations so that they could really appreciate the very simplistic science around each and every one of us today, whether it's watching a bird fly, whether it's smelling of the beautiful aroma of a flower, what would you do, David? How would you accomplish this?
I would say keep your sense of wonder open. Be willing to use your imagination. Be willing to look at things in ways that it never occurred to you to look at before. I think that's the best way to start.
David, do you
try to really understand the world around us and within us?
As a person, David, who likes to look at life, science, and the wonders around us in a very welcoming way. And I commend you for the way that you look at life and everything around us. Do you think technology is assisting us or is burdening us? Is giving us a burden where it's doing too much for us?
Oh no, technology definitely assists us to do it. I mean, technology itself is the result of wondering about and using imagination and seeing things in different ways. And it opens up whole new worlds for us. I mean, most scientific discoveries would not have been possible without the technologies which are built on understanding nature and science at a fundamental level. So, absolutely, technology is a great boon. Of course, at the same time, there are negatives that come out of technology too.
All right, let's talk about the negatives when we come back from this news break. Our very special guest this hour, X-Zone is David Strumfels, and his website is a medley of potpourri.blogspot.com and wonderingabout.net. He is the author of Wondering About, and we'll be back.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we can get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people. Combing through the wooded area, nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on two telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help."
When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network and on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. By the way, there's a programming change on the Talkstar Radio Network. The show is originally broadcast from 10 at night until 2 in the morning, then from 2 in the morning until 6 in the morning. And the people at Talkstar have told us because of the demand for the X-Zone, we have also received a repeat during the day from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. So from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m., from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. 12 hours of the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network, www.talkstarradio.com. David Strumfels is our very special guest. His website is amedleypotpourri.blogspot.com. As well as wondering about, he is the author of wandering about. And David, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to join us here on the X Zone. Before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about the pros of technology, and just as we were going to start talking about the negative side of technology, we had to go to the commercial break with the news. So I was wondering if we could pick it up, and if I could ask you, what do you think some of the negative parts about technology are?
Oh, well, obvious example are things like nuclear weapons.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of work being done in genetic engineering, and most of it will probably be very good, but there's also the possibility of bad things coming out of that. You know, technology is only as good as people use it, and hopefully people will learn to use technology well. And technology is also a way of learning yet even more and seeing things in an even broader context and triggering our imaginations and wonderings even more. So overall, I think of it as a good thing. But, you know, human beings being what they are, sometimes negative things come out of it. I'm not a negative person.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that the world will come to an end or something like that. But it's something that we have to give consideration to. It's something that we have to think about, like, for example, global warming and so forth. You know, what are we really doing to our own planet? It's a bit of a test.
You say it's a bit of a test. Who's giving us the test?
I'm sorry?
You say it's a bit of a test. Who's giving us the test?
Well, the test is that here we are, we have like 6.7 billion big-brained human beings on this planet who are capable of understanding things and changing their planet to a great degree. And it's an experiment that's, as far as we know, has never been tried before in the whole history of the universe. Or maybe it has, and results have been either good, bad, or indifferent. We don't really know. It's something we should be aware of, that we can do great damage to ourselves, as well as do wonderful things for ourselves.
You know, David, you were telling me, you were telling the Exo Nation that, you know, we should open up our minds and so on and think outside the box. And when you said that, you know, this planet could be an experiment, that in itself was an eye-opener. I never looked at our existence as an experiment, but we very well could be.
Well, we are an experiment. I mean, something like us, human beings, Homo sapiens, has never existed before in the history of the entire Earth. And we are now in the middle of a vast experiment of which we do not know what the outcome really will be. And, you know, hopefully it will be good. Mm-hmm. Some of it will be good. Some of it will probably be bad. But I like to think that overall we will get through things okay, and at the end of the experiment we will find it has been worthwhile. But that's just me being positive.
Tell me, how does your family feel about your work? Are they supportive?
Yes, they're very supportive of my work. They've always sort of known I was a bit of an eccentric person.
Okay, having written...
who had a lot of curiosity and imagination, and so I think they're not surprised that I've written a book. But they have been very supportive, yes.
That's excellent.
And my wife's family has been very supportive of me, too, as well.
Having written the book entitled Wondering About, how has it influenced your life and your thinking as well as those close to you?
Well, the way it influences me more is that it's kind of solidified things that have been themes in my life, all my life. Definitely, I'm going to go and write more books.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have another book almost finished, and I see myself exploring many areas and seeing what comes through and what opens up for me.
David, I was wondering if you could tell us something about your childhood, and is it connected with your book in any way?
In some ways, yes, because even as a child, I was very interested in nature and science and trying to figure out things for myself instead of just accepting things that my teachers and other authorities told me. And again, I think this condition I have called Asperger's has sort of helped me maintain this direction all throughout my adulthood. Though it has caused some personal suffering, it's also allowed me to finally put forth things like wondering about and all of the other issues that I will be tackling in the years to come.
Tell us about some of your experiences as a young man and how that has affected you.
Well, I remember as a child being taken to libraries and museums a great deal, and always having my imagination and sense of wonder sparked in me. I was very fortunate in that way. But mostly, it was just a way of life for me. Growing up, getting interested in various different things. Some of them might seem rather ordinary, but to me they weren't ordinary. They were very fascinating kinds of things, like, how did washing machines work and coffee pots work and all sorts of things that I just naturally got into. And I seem to retain that throughout my adolescence and as a young man. Even as a student in college where I studied chemistry, I seem to go further than the professors expected in trying to understand the subjects.
Why?
And trying to really understand what they were trying to teach me.
How does Asperger's affect you on a daily basis, David?
Well, Asperger's has a way of, one of the downsides of Asperger's is that you have a hard time in social situations, picking up social cues, such that if I'm put in a social situation, I end up sort of being sort of like a lost soul. I end up wandering off by myself, and I really can't make connections to people. But the positive side is that it has always kept my interest and imagination and sense of wonder about the world around me and within me.
Tell me, David, is your book your way of advocating a way of life or at least a new point of view?
You could say that it's advocating a way of life, except that you have to kind of be a person like me to live a life like that. But I'd like to take a little of me and rub it off on other people. So I'd like to take a little of that curiosity and imagination and sense of wonder, and hopefully through my books and whatever else I do, rub it off on other people and, get people more curious, more interested in things, instead of just taking things for granted. If I could do that, I would say that I almost satisfied my purpose of living, even.
Are you working on any other projects presently?
Yes, right now I'm working on a book. It's purely it's a purely chemistry book. Well, my training is in chemistry, and I expect it to be done within a few weeks or so. I've also written a variety of science fiction, although I haven't written it in some time. I'm thinking of going back and writing some science fiction. I also enjoy working with computers, programming computers. There's something very creative and problem-solving, challenging about that I enjoy very much.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience, David?
Well, the only thing I would, want to say to people is, don't just take the world around you for granted. I mean, look at people, look at things, wonder about them, ask how did they come to be. You might not get your answers, but it's a way of looking at things that I think gets your mind very active, and if nothing else, I mean, that stirs up your mind, and that will make your life better off overall, I think.
David, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. David Strumfels is our very special guest, Exonation. He's a gentleman who suffers from Asperger's syndrome. He's written a number of books, and we've been talking about his book, Wondering About. His websites are a medley of potpourri.blogspot.com and wonderingabout.net. David, I love the way you think. David and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, right here on the all-new X Zone Broadcast Network and Talkstar Radio.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. David Strumfels is our special guest. A medley of potpourri.blogspot.com and wonderingabout.net. David, as someone who loves to see people use their imaginations and think outside of the box, what do you think about these kids who sit down in front of these video games and spend all their time in a world that is virtual?
It strikes mixed feelings in me. I mean, in a way, it can be a very creative thing, but it can also be a very limiting thing too. I'd like to see kids do more things like just reading or walking around and studying the environment around them, and wondering about all the different plants and animals that inhabit their world.
It's just
I was never much into video games myself, actually, to tell you the truth.
It's just as if the youth of today take so much for granted that, as long as they've got an Xbox or a Wii, or they're able to get onto the internet and get onto the social networking sites, they're happy. When I was a kid, I used to love going out fishing. I used to love going into the woods. I used to love taking beautiful long walks in the countryside. Me
too. Yeah.
And I think the youth of today, unless they open their eyes and open their hearts, they're going to lose everything that's so wonderful around them.
Yeah, it seems like the video games it's something that's designed to limit them to a certain part of imagination. There's some imagination there, but it's designed to be limiting, and in the end I can't see that being good.
Neither can I, good sir. Neither can I. Listen, tell our listeners where they can go and buy your book.
Well, at current, Ex Libris is right now selling my book. You can also get it off of Amazon.com, and I think BarnesandNoble.com and Borders.com. I think. Check that out for me.
All right, the best thing to do, Exonation, is just go on to any search engine. I use Google. I love Google. And enter David Strumfels, Strumfels. And I'm sure that all the sites that are selling his book, which is entitled Wandering About, will show up on your screen. David, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. Hats off to you for the wonderful things that you do and the new, fresh perspective that you give life and everything around you. Thanks for joining us, David.
Well, thank you very much.
It's been a great pleasure. Exonation, once again, for more information on David Strumfels, a medley of potpourri.blogspot.com and wonderingabout.net. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break after the news at 6.5 minutes past as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X Zone Broadcast Network. Don't go away.